Live from San Antonio, Texas Riverwalk. We're at the Black Bass 2025 Summit. This is an impromptu show, which is my favorite way to do this. I do have Bailey here. Bailey, how are you?
I'm good. Good, all the way from good old New York.
From New York to Texas. We've got probably flight stories we could talk about, but we're gonna wait till a real episode of Real Biology to do that. Mm-hmm. Because we also have, I've been waiting to do this show. I've been waiting to bring these two people out of the field and onto my show. This is Tommy Johnson and Canyon Klein. You might know the last name Klein, but Tommy Johnson and Canyon, they are my two biologists. They work for Texas Pro Lake. They travel the state managing reservoirs for me. Also, y'all's two first Black Bass 2025, your first national AFS meetings. Tommy, have you been to an AFS national?
I've been to one other one so far. So I went with the joint one there in Reno. I think it was 2019 when they had the Wildlife and American Fisheries Society at the same time. So
okay.
I got to go to that one.
So you've been to one national.
Pick up the mic too when you're talking to it.
Both Tommy and Canyon I've known since they were little children. They're still my kids, but I think, Tommy, you were probably 13. Canyon, you were maybe like 14. Yeah. When I met them, they went through Bass Brigade Camp. I was their professor of fisheries management. I know these two well, and I wanted to bring you guys on the show at your first national and Black Bass meeting. They travel to all the state meetings with me and serve on committees, and they do all the work that I do. They make me look good. But I wanted to bring you two and Bailey and talk about the science that you're maybe seeing for the first time in this way. And I think it'll be fun because I've got new professionals in the industry. I've got one of the best kayak fishermen in the country. Do you get that title yet?
You said the dunce, the industry. You can say that.
One of the best kayak fishermen in the country. And my co-host and Bailey, we started Real Biology because we wanted to bring the science to the people. Mm-hmm. And I think it's pretty evident by you being here that you're committed to this.
Yeah, I might not understand half the vocabulary you guys use, but that's why I have you to make it make sense. That's right.
So let's start with Canyon. You have kind of, I'm gonna arguably say you have the biggest angling background of all of us.
Oh, I don't know about that.
So Canyon's dad, of course, is Gary Klein.
Who's that?
That's how he got that. That's how she got that name, that Klein name. So
that last name.
Canyon, you've also been working for the company the longest.
About 3 years now.
Yep.
Are you dating yourself, Steve?
So, what's it been like? What has Black Bass been like for you, young professional, state the obvious, female professional? Mm-hmm. What's it like?
Well, kind of like you said, I have a very unique background. So I'm not only at this conference as a fisheries biologist, but as an angler kid. And like you said, I've been traveling the states with Dad, and it's just sometimes it's really cool to see where these people are coming from, because some of them do have that angling background, and then some of them don't have that angling background. And then if you put the science in there with it. So it's been really interesting. I mean, the talks have been, I absolutely love it. I might be biased because I love bass, but the talks have all kind of been about the same thing. But I think it's really interesting because I do have that angling background, and so I've really enjoyed it.
So over the last 3 to 7 years, you've went to a lot of the state meetings. The state meetings are different from this. So tell me how this differs from the state meeting for our audience.
I would say that this is mainly, it's a Black Bass Symposium, so you're going to have just your Black Bass species here. It's mainly focused around my perspective of the meeting, around tournaments. Okay. Again, that angling aspect of it. But I feel like more of the state meetings are going to be more about research within the state divisions in each departments. So I've really enjoyed this meeting because it's really about that angling perspective.
Yeah, that's good, because whenever you go to a state meeting, like Bailey, you're seeing the experience right now. You've got 4 rooms, so audience picture this, 4 rooms, 1 hallway, and every one of those rooms has a new talk every 15 minutes. And like Canyon said, from her perspective, a lot of it's about tournaments. Well, that's because on the schedule, you're looking at it and you're going, which room am I going to be in? And maybe, just maybe, you have that bias of tournaments because for some
Absolutely.
reason you're drawn to the
I
room
wonder.
about tournaments.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm not going to even deny that.
Now, Tommy, you have a different background. Tommy is, I mean, I'm not going to steal your thunder, but you were from Texas, but you were not in Texas the whole time. You've moved around. You've also worked for state agencies. Some of these people that are in this room, you called a colleague in another state, and then came here and call other people colleagues now, and now you work for us on the private sector side. So kind of give us your 1,000-level perspective of the meeting so far.
What I've enjoyed about a lot of it is kind of as Stephen mentioned, is that a lot of the people that I'm seeing and meeting back up here with, I've met at other state agencies that I worked for during grad school. I worked with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources and worked with one of their field research offices, and I really got to spend some time seeing how they manage northern fisheries. I'd spent most of my life in Texas up until that point, so I got to see and work with walleye and muskie and get to see that those kind of took more of an emphasis up there compared to as where Texas is a largemouth bass state. We put a lot of time, energy, effort, and money into growing bigger, better bass with like the Share Lunker program and trying to make sure anglers come visit the state to fish for those bigger fish that we can grow down here. And so a lot of it's really interesting to me is that we're seeing a lot of cool research with some of the smallmouth fisheries up north, gotten to see some of the movement and tracking studies that they're doing to see with the tournament care side. That has been interesting. And then some of the new research that's coming out with like the environmental DNA, which is allowing them to potentially have non-lethal aging methods emerging here in the future to better age older fish. So that way we can get a better understanding of how long it takes for those fish to grow and can we age them from a non-lethal standpoint going forward.
This is the crazy part. You have two people that do the same thing every day, that have seen a conference from a different perspective, just because the rooms they're choosing to be in. Then Bailey, I know you've been working. I've seen you recording podcasts. I know you're putting together social media. You're also recording podcasts because of your angler superstardom on the kayaks. But you've had time to go to a couple of the rooms, right?
Yeah, I've sat in, I guess, like majority of, like, at least time slots. I think there's like one or two I might have missed here and there, but
Okay.
otherwise
So
it's been.
what's your perspective so far then?
Honestly, there's a few different things I've taken away. A lot of like small little nuggets that I've learned that I've just, the nerd in me is like, whoa, that's freaking cool. But you mentioned earlier about some of the conversations all being similar. And one thing that I think I actually appreciate about that is I didn't realize how many states are actually looking at some of these stuff. So I think that is a nice reassurance for anglers, is that a lot more states than I realized are putting an emphasis into bass and some of the different studies. Even ones like my own with New York that I didn't even realize was going to be here. So stuff like that I've really appreciated, and also just the some of the presentations of looking at it from, and obviously I'm speaking to the choir here, but like an unbiased point of view, whereas when you come from the angler side, there's what we call the angler theory, right? And there's nothing behind it to back it, where they're coming at it from every point of view and not making any. It's a breath of fresh air when you come here, when it's all about data and facts, not just opinions. So I think that part, I could go on and on about the different nuggets and stuff I've learned, but
Well, I think that our audience is going to get tired of this, because over the next 3 months, me and you are going to pull out nuggets, or you're going to be like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, can we have this guest from the Black Bass Summit? Like, can we have them on the show? And then we're going to end up right back in this conversation multiple times, because this meeting only happens every 25 years. Like I said, it's Kenyon and Tommy and Bailey's first. It's my first Black Bass 2025 as well. Because the Black Bass meetings, the last one that happened in the year 2000, I was not even in high school yet. And you look at the meeting now, and like, I'm presenting 5 or 6 times, and I gave a plenary talk. Like, those spots are reserved for like the old people, like the people that have been doing it forever.
say it, Steve. Just accept it.
And I'm like, why would you let the high school kid up there? Like, what is going on? But it feels strange, because I've never been to this meeting. I helped plan the meeting, so I knew what was going to happen. But I kind of feel like in the same boat in a way. For me, whenever I look at the talks very different, of course, because I know 80% of the presenters. I talk to them, text them, email them all the time. And I was reflecting on it last night. Like, my favorite part of the meeting so far has been watching the people that I know and seeing them finally succeed and get to present their information, especially whenever I think about some of the younger professionals like yourselves or state biologists that I'm like, you just started. You just started 2 years ago. And I remember whenever you were in grad school, and look at you presenting. And in 25 years, you'll replace me. And I think that's amazing.
Mm.
Okay, now, why don't we go ahead and tell me some of your favorite people you've met. Bailey, you can go first.
Favorite people? You want me to just...
Yeah, call them out. Who's been like the presenter that you're like, I just love this speaker. I love this perspective. This person has been cool to hang out with at the bar. Like, tell me your favorite people.
I mean, I think Bob Lusk has to
Bob
take
Lusk,
the cake on
yes.
that. We just did the show on all the Ray Scott stories, and I was just... It was a kid in a candy shop.
How long did the Ray Scott show go?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. And so
With
you just had
Ken
Bob
Duke.
on? Oh, you had Ken as
Duke
well?
joined it. Well, Ken, per usual, fashionably late, joined midway through the show, interrupted, bombarded, but it's Ken Duke, so
That's Ken
we'll
Duke.
allow
You
it.
allow it. You allow it. So Bob Lusk. So if you're just watching Real Biology, we will have Bob Lusk on as well at some
We have
point.
to. Yeah.
Yeah,
TJ from Texas Parks and Wildlife was awesome.
Okay.
That was the first show that went out this week.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name from the Idaho DNR that did the tournament bass displacement or the stockpiling, and showing how some of the smallmouth and Dorshak, how far that they would go immediately upon release. That study was really eye-opening to me, and them talking about how like that can vary based on the fishery and if it's a largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass, like that was really cool. And that's one obviously we've had shows on where people have their opinions, but I think that's like stuff for the public, for the common angler.
Right.
This stuff's so important.
And I think if you want to know how impactful this has been on Bailey, we had dinner together last night. I've seen you in crowds, and you keep mentioning the same study from Idaho, like over and over. Like you keep mentioning.
I try to not like learn some new things, but like my mind keeps going back to the smallmouth. Like
Yes.
I don't know why. It's just
So we know who Bailey's
they're
going to be
crack.
interviewing at some point.
Yes. Yeah. Whether you're here or not.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair. All of a sudden, Real Biology is now hosted by Bailey and whoever he can find in the hallway.
That's right. You're just gonna walk around live with the mic tomorrow.
Hey,
You talking about small? No. All right.
live with the mic tomorrow in the hallway could be one of the most hectic or entertaining things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it could be very good or very bad.
If
One
you
or
had
two.
that little mic, like I see all the Facebook girls doing, like,
Yeah.
might be cool. All right, Tommy, some of the favorite people you've met. You've got a little bit of a wider net because you know a lot of people, some new people that you've met and things you've heard.
I'd say Ken Duke is a really good person that I've enjoyed meeting and talking with him just because he's got such a well-rounded knowledge of the history of bass fishing. And it's just not tournament angling that he's talking about. It's with you while we're at dinners, or it's with just different groups like Bob Lusk, and they're talking about, this important act that has happened, or these people that were working with our national fisheries at the time, and how fish got transferred throughout the country, just kind of getting to learn some more stuff that we may not have seen in school or had the chance to hear before, but the amount of knowledge that can be shared and what we can learn going forward from the past. And also say, as we're thinking about population distribution throughout the country, where did some of these fish come from? Or, when we're looking at potentially creating a world record bass, what went into the old ones? What were some of the problems in the past when there have been bounties on it? Ken did a really great presentation this morning on the history of the world record bass. And so that one was really interesting to see, just because I've gotten to see some stuff kind of behind the scenes and work with you when you were working with Josh Sackmar and Ken Duke and everybody for getting Curious Fish moved to the Florida world record spot. So that was a lot of fun getting to hear, some of the past problems they've had, and Ken giving that knowledge and expertise of, what can we do better as anglers and stewards going forward if we're going to chase or create bounties for world record fish in the future. Because as with your business and with a lot of people around the country, everybody wants to have a chance at that world record bass. And what can we do to make sure we have healthy fish, but everybody have a chance to get one of those fish?
That's a great answer. And Bailey, I don't know how the internet works. Can you see who likes this show? Because if so, we have to edit that whole session out because we don't need Ken Duke commenting about, about being praised twice in one episode.
I know we'll just have to cut cut his whole face out of the Ray Scott, just keep his voice in there. We love Ken, but he's got an ego. We're not gonna push that ego anymore. We say that out of love, but he is a walking encyclopedia of fishing.
He is. He definitely is.
It's been an asset here. Okay, Canyon, you're up. Favorite people that you've met, presentations they're giving that are just blowing you away.
Okay. Well, I love coming to these meetings to meet people, to meet my old people that I've worked with the hatchery and everything. But new people, I love watching the students present. I think some students have just poured their heart and soul into their research, and you can just tell they're so excited to stand on that stage and present their work. There was this one girl, I can't remember her name, and she actually did her research over fishing and tournaments and live wells, and if it was a good thing or a bad thing to add ice to your live well. And I just thought that was really interesting, again, just growing up in the tournament trail. I can kind of relate to that. I could see both sides of it. And then I really enjoyed the Arkansas guys talk about their new Legacy Lunker program.
Yeah.
That was really exciting to me, just to see how excited they were.
Yep.
And after that guy got done talking, he came back to his buddies, and they were just so happy about it. So I really enjoyed that. Being Gary Klein's daughter, I've always learned from Dad, and I've always seen what passion he has for what he does in the sport. And I just absolutely love seeing that passion and excitement on other people.
Oh, it's huge. Yep, so she's talking about Jeremy Reesley that we've had on the show. He literally was getting goosebumps while he was presenting, talking about Legacy Lunker. And then afterwards, you got, once again, these are all my friends. So I'm not, sorry, Jeremy. I'm in a group text, and it's like, he's texting, we nailed it. Like, we did it. Everybody's excited about Legacy Lunker. Like, that excitement, that passion is so true. And then you mentioned the grad student that's talking about icing live wells. I said I wasn't going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's my show, and I do what I want, right? So just...
Should I mute him now? Or?
No, don't mute him. We don't have to give them details. But I think the audience needs to know that these are scientific presentations where somebody has poured their heart into, I'm going to research this topic. I'm going to do it in my local body of water, and it may be something that's been well researched, which means there's conflict. There's not brawling in the aisleways, but there are people that are going to stand up and say, that's not what I think, or that's not what we've been doing for 50 years. And so you got to witness that. Last night at dinner, Canyon also brought up, she's like, one of the things I really appreciated is the fact that there was a debate.
Yeah.
There was a presentation,
A civilized debate.
a civilized debate.
Absolutely, yeah.
So for the ice thing, you can go ahead and say like, hey, this is what the presentation said, and here's what other people were saying.
So it was all based in a lab, and so they pretty much stimulated what it would be to be out in the boat. They caught the fish. They did some exercises with the fish to make it look like that they did catch the fish, put it in the live well. They had some control groups, and I'm not exactly sure how long her project lasted, but at the end of it, she pretty much said that icing does not work in live wells. Pretty much get away from icing, and that if you ice the fish in your live wells, once you put the fish back into the water, it's going to take up to 9 hours for that fish to go back to the way it was.
Yeah, thermally warm up, right?
Yeah, so it just adds more stress onto the fish, which, like Stephen said, different state, different ecosystem, so everything is going to be a little bit different. People's opinions are going to be different, but I just thought that was really cool, and you could tell she was just really excited about that project.
Yeah, and people stood up and literally said, that contradicts everything we've seen for the last 50 years. And then the debate goes on. So whenever we're talking about like fish care we feel like is a pretty concrete subject. That we understand live wells, we understand how do we give anglers guidance. But the truth is, in some situations, we find where fish care breaks. And we may have to develop new techniques, or we may need to readdress what have we been doing for 50 years. And that's why we're at Black Bass 2025. It's because we're looking at what did we do starting in 2000 over the last 25 years, and what are we going to do over the next 25 years. And I don't want to say it's a changing target, but it's flexible. We started the meeting with challenge your beliefs, challenge what you know, and I think that just proves it's actually happening. It's actually happening, and it's not that everybody here. There's no sheep mentality, right? Like everybody here is got an open mind, but at the same time, scientists are willing to question each other. And I think the angling community would love to see that.
Yeah, I think the angling community needs to see it and be more a part of that versus the my way or the highway and your way is wrong type of deal. Because you see some of that more on social media than anything else. But you do see more, I guess, face-to-face anglers that will be willing to share techniques, share different points of view. But I think if they had a chance to see kind of how that operated, especially here, where it's constructive, difference of opinion and more talking through it than talking at each other,
Right.
I think that would definitely be a benefit. We know how anglers are, so yeah.
So, first 2 days are these scientific talks. We're in the end of the second day, and tomorrow starts keynote speeches. And so we've been in those 4 separate rooms. We're going to go into one room, and the morning session kind of talks about where do we go, how do we progress and make an industry that's going to last. The afternoon session really keys in on the partnerships, and right before lunch, Bailey found out as he got here that he would be doing a panel discussion about new media and how do we communicate our science. And then on Thursday, we actually do the summit. And the summit is going to be kind of closed door, invite only. All 3 of you got invites to the summit and submitted which topics. Have you all seen which topics you got stuck with?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This might be the last time we have a podcast, Steve.
Uh-oh. Well, I can make changes.
No, you're good. I'm actually excited. I'm on the forward-facing sonar.
So let's, if you don't mind, do you know yours? We can look them up.
Yeah, I know one of them.
We can look them up. Yeah, one of them's fine. I want to talk about the summit for just a second. The
Okay.
summit is going to be something new and devious. We're going to have a round table. There's 8 to 9 people at your table, and everybody pre-selected what options they would like for their topic. And I posted all the summit topics on our social media, on our fisheries biologist, Stephen Barton social media. So you can go see them all if you want to see all of them. But you're going to sit down at your table, you're going to have a moderator and a student, and they're going to transcribe what's being said.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go around the table and you're going to give your opinions on what are the challenges, whatever the topic is. And then you're going to start trying to figure out who should research into those challenges. And you're going to try to come up with an actual research project. And at the end of that, at the end of the day on Thursday, we're going to do Shark Tank style, where we're going to pitch those. And we raised some money during the summit to fund those projects. And I don't know how many we're going to get, so we'll see how good the projects are. But I'll start with Bailey because you kind of remember yours.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of the topics that you're going to be roundtable debating?
Yeah, the first one is number 7 about the technology and forward-facing sonar in fishing.
So it's basically going to be, is it impacting the sport? And if it is, who needs to regulate it, right?
That, and then there was the last line, I think, was should there be an asterisk on potential new records, things like that, if they're used with technology.
Yeah, should there be an asterisk? So
That's heavy.
Debated.
That's
It's gonna
heavy.
be one-
I'm actually really excited for it because, I'm hoping everyone in that group can, because this seems to be a very polarizing topic right now, can be like everyone else has been so far in this event, of level-headed and talk about it unemotionally. If that can be, I'm really excited for that.
Well, you
conversation.
have a professional here. Kelly Jordan's going to be in that with you.
Oh boy.
Yep. You have Mike Allen, one of the best biologists from Florida. Jake Norman, who you got an ally, maybe not. Maybe not.
I'll have to do some snooping around beforehand. See who's an ally, who's not.
Zach, who's the new light bass coordinator for the state of Louisiana.
Okay.
So the state of Louisiana has a little bit of harvest opinion that maybe is different than the rest of the country. You've got kind of a list of a lot of managers. So a lot of people that would. Well, and Jake has Lake Fork, a lot of people that they need to know.
Oh yeah.
Because they're not only their fisheries are going to be affected, but also they're potentially the bodies of water that records are going to come out of.
100%. I'm really excited for it because, I mean, with it, without it, I'm indifferent. I'm all for what's best for the fisheries,
Right.
but I'm excited to see the opinions that come out of it, what they've studied, because I can only tell what I've seen and used and heard, from myself or trusted sources, but from actually people that are like yourselves that are doing that.
And would you say throughout the meeting that forward-facing sonar has been out front and a topic of conversation, or has it been avoided, or what would you think?
I haven't heard it very much being talked about, and at least in the presentations that I have been in.
Yeah.
I've heard it brought up here and there, but except for the one presentation from the gentleman from Maryland.
Right, from Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, from doing from all the fish catches from the BPT so far this year, which that was awesome.
That was
a good
kind of
presentation.
eye-opening. We're going to have Ryan on a full episode. Like, I'm not going to spoil what Ryan
That's a
found
whole
out
show in
from
itself.
it. Oh, my goodness,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, beautiful graphs. I mean, whenever you talk about talking about science the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a young biologist. I'm like, dude, we got a superstar in Maryland.
Yeah.
Who would have guessed one of the best black bass biologists is sitting in Maryland?
Sitting in Maryland.
All right, Tommy, what topics do you have?
My first topic that I have is the demographics of angling community and changing. Fewer young people are becoming anglers is one of the concerns, and then coupled with the sentiment that there are people growing in communities that don't want hunting or fishing, and how should we address these issues going forward is one of my topics. And so I think that's really interesting. Part of what my grad school project that I did was using a type of software that allowed me to figure out usage at Iowa lakes. And with that software, it was trying to see with one of their programs, when they went in and did renovations for the communities there in Iowa, how that renovation on a lake ended up translating to dollars spent into that community. Are more people coming in after they renovate the lakes and trying to make them better for those communities, or if it was something where they weren't seeing a return on their investment. So it was one of those things where I saw that when I was like, I enjoy getting kids out fishing, and I help out with Bass Brigade, the summer camp that Stephen first met me at. And so it was one of those things where I was like, well, a little bit of my grad school knowledge and then having the experience of seeing how lake usage goes from, a couple surface acre lakes in Iowa to all the way up to their biggest reservoirs, and how busy that is, and just trying to understand how many moving parts can be behind the scenes. Just because you have a lake, it doesn't mean only anglers are using it. In Iowa, I got to see a ton of different information where, there was a local National Guard base, and they would use the lake as a training ground, and they'd go on PT hikes and marches while they were there. You'd have people that were just going out to walk around the lake, or there was an archery range right on the edge of the lake. And so the software would account for those people too. And then you even had people in houseboats that were living on the lake. So there's this whole other ecosystem that goes into the lake, and it's not just anglers that are using it, but everyone in that community. So that's something really interesting for me for one of the topics. And then the other one is looking at habitat management as reservoirs are aging over time. We're losing habitat for bass throughout a lot of the lakes in the country, and how do we better address that as managers, because it doesn't matter whether you're on the private side or on the public side of fisheries management. This is a problem everybody faces, because most of the reservoirs and lakes that we have throughout the country are pretty much all man-made. And going forward is, how do we make the fishing continue to be there for the next generation, or make it better for the users that are currently using it? And it's not just only the fisheries managers can be a part of this conversation. We need everybody to be involved with it, because whether I go out there and fish, or you go take some buddies, or it's somebody's first time going out there to fish, if they're not able to catch a fish, the statistics show that when your first trip, if you don't catch something, you're more than likely not wanting to go back because it was kind of a disappointing experience. So how do we make that first time fishing for somebody brand new great, so they can go out there and catch, whether it's a bluegill, a bass, a catfish, whatever it may be, in a community fishing pond or a reservoir or a lake across the country? How do we keep people involved and go back to kind of our R3 that we have, which is recruit, retain, and re-involve with them throughout the country? And so those are kind of my two big ones, because I have gotten to work with them before with state agencies. I do it volunteer. I'm angler education certified through the state. So I volunteer on the weekends sometimes to go do kid fish events or get people involved. And so that's two topics that I'm really passionate about, and want to make sure that we're trying to address those issues, or try to find new ideas if people have seen something that I haven't seen across the country. So those are the two I'm really looking forward to being a part of on Thursday.
That second one, I feel like, from my point of view anyway, is probably one of the more dire ones. At least, and I think you'd have at least on like the aging reservoir stuff, that might be the one time you could get homeowners and pleasure boaters and anglers all on the same page. That might be the one time you could get
You
that.
think so?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought that would be a no-brainer, but yeah.
Come sit through that one.
I feel like that one's just so important because it's like we talk about it all the time on the show, but like you can go knock down a football stadium and go build another one. Like
Right.
it's just a money thing. You can't just simply go knock down a lake and build up another one.
Right.
Like, as easy as it would be to build a football stadium or a football field, whatever.
Well, you'll see with a lot of people, and especially if you come to this conversation, is think about all the users that use a lake. We primarily think about it from a fishing aspect.
Right.
But if you're a homeowner and you have jet skis and wake boats on it, you don't want necessarily more habitat in the lake, because what happens if you run into a piece of habitat, mess up a prop, sink a jet ski or a boat in the process? So that's one of the things that I saw with some of my state work, was that people were concerned about, as we put habitat into the lake, it's going to cause damage to their property. Or we see some of the controversy going forward with anglers pulling up to people's boat docks and fishing around it. Some people think they own all the way out into the water. And so it's one of those things of when people are putting in habitat, it's, they don't think they should have habitat near their place. So most of the time, state agencies aren't looking to try to enhance the fishing around somebody's dock. It's more like, this is a good area, they're putting it here for a reason, but they may not know why that habitat got put close enough to them that's bringing in those boats. Whether you're making a crappie pile and doing a tree pile, or like what we use is an artificial habitat structure on the private side, we use a little bit more of that. There's a reason we're trying to do it, whether it's, there's vegetation close by and we're using this as another way of secondary cover, or if we're using this to try to say, hey, we notice that as the lake drops during this time period, we can put habitat here, like out in West Texas. You can put habitat in a certain area and it can still be used during drought years. So there's a lot of long-term planning with several lakes throughout the country that you're going to have to see that, what is habitat now in a full year where you get a bunch of rain versus the habitat that you have during a drought year. You have to plan for both of those so the lake is still fishable and usable, and create those opportunities for the fish, but also the angler as well.
Makes sense.
All right, Ken. You're up. Which topics did you get assigned?
Okay, my first topic is the same one as Tommy, so we'll be doing that one together.
Yeah, I think that being Gary Klein's daughter, you probably have some opinions on engaging anglers and recruiting new anglers.
I cannot wait for that one.
Yeah.
But what I'm really excited about is my second topic. And it's pretty much saying, moving forward, how should bass tournaments be ran? And who should be the leaders and the people that push those tournaments? Who should be the leading group of that?
Yep. So which format?
Yep. And I'm super excited to sit on that one and kind of listen to the other opinions of the people in the group and kind of see if they like the catch, weigh, release format better, or if they like the 5 pound or 5 limit better, and then kind of go in there with my experience and just kind of have that conversation, and like we were talking about earlier, have that debate with them.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be so much fun to see both sides of, every single one of these topics.
Mm-hmm. I had a really good conversation with TJ about that, actually, with the different formats, and it was pretty eye-opening, too, coming from his perspective of what they would want to see, especially out of Texas.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of jealous, though. You have Kelly Jordan in your group.
That's going to be fun.
That's going to be really fun.
I'm not sure what to expect, but I'm excited for that, yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
Is that question 5?
Yeah.
I think Canyon is with a couple really big name biologists, but also Ken Duke.
Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry.
I think Ken Duke might be
Oh,
very
yeah.
good.
That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be
And
awesome.
if that's the case, whenever somebody says, well, this specific event, Ken's going to know who placed
Oh,
first
yeah.
through 110
Oh, yeah.
and what their bag was.
No
He
doubt.
will call BS on anything
Yes.
if somebody is a little bit wrong. yeah.
Absolutely.
You just sit by Ken and be like, he knows.
No, that's going to be a good conversation.
That's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
And so I get the opportunity to be the moderator. So the first one I moderate is the habitat one, not with Tommy. I have a different group. So I will moderate. So my job will be to outline every issue we have in habitat, and then try to boil that down into the 3 to 5 actionable things we can actually do. And then try to push everybody to come up with a single project for that. And then the second one, I moderate the other side of the tournament. So so I'm not in your group, so we're not gonna home field advantage here. But I get to moderate.
Steve wants 20 fish limits in Buffalo.
I get to moderate the other one, so it should be interesting. I have Kelly Jordan that I have to deal with, so that'll be fun. Cool.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity for us because science is, we're teaching it, we're showing the work that's being happened, but now with how this summit is put together, we're going to involve each other. And we're going to come up with decisions, and the Shark Tank aspect of it, how we're going to fund it, makes it to where we honestly could be sitting here in 5 years talking about, remember that summit, remember how we changed how regulations are made, remember how we really started changing how tournaments were ran, remember how we fixed the habitat conflicts or how we re-engaged anglers, and it came from a simple conversation of 8 to 10 people sitting around a table for 2 hours.
That's where the work's going to get done.
Is where it's going to get done, or the debate's going to happen. We may also end Thursday. We're supposed to do like a closing social. We may end Thursday with everybody getting a flight out early and never speaking to each other ever.
I was say, how many people are going to just rage quit and walk out tomorrow?
That's what you need a little counter to see if it happens.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out which question provoked it.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be interesting. I think everything's going to be fun, though.
Oh, it's going to be a blast. Yeah. It's going to be a blast. And you've seen, Bailey, like we said, sometimes there's debate, but man, it's so respectful.
Mm-hmm.
So respectful. You can literally stand up and say, here's my opinion. Here's why I have that opinion. Somebody can raise their hand and say, I contradict all your facts. And here's the facts as I see them. We might have a short discussion and then we move on. Because there's only 15 minutes between each talk, so we can't have too long of a debate about it.
Right.
And nobody's going out in the hallway and having a real big argument. It's just how we do it in fisheries. Is this what you expected?
I really didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I was just more excited for what I was going to learn, but I don't know. I mean, I was looking at the schedule that you'd put out on your social media and just saw all the different I was more overwhelmed because I wanted to hit so many of them,
right,
and I couldn't hit certain ones because they'd be at the same time slots. That was, if anything, I was just more sad that I was going to miss some certain presentations, but otherwise, this has been amazing. I was telling you, I wish there was a way for the public to, like, where we had a live stream cam, like you could see each room so that they could hear some of the stuff that they're saying, because these people with the actual credentials, not, Larry, Joey, whoever at the boat ramp on a Wednesday nighter says is the rule book. You guys are here with the credentials that are actually putting data, facts behind stuff that I think a lot of people would rethink of how they're doing things, whether it's fish care or how fish operate, things like that the general public of anglers could really use to know.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll keep bringing that out throughout podcasts and things like that.
I do really appreciate that perspective, and it kind of brings me to my last question, and feel free to be honest. I know that I was part of the planning committee, but I want to know, what did we miss? What is something, you'll better have something. What did we miss? Where Bailey just mentioned, like, if we could have had a live stream camera, we could have shown the public. You see that science is being done in 4 rooms, being communicated in 4 rooms. What are we missing to take this from the conversations that are having here in San Antonio and make it better for us here or better for the community, fishing community at all?
I guess I'll go first. One thing that kind of listening to Bailey and then also going back through your social media and looking at the questions that you posted is one of those things where a lot of the comments were, I didn't know this was happening, or, I wish I could have been involved with this. How do I get involved with it was what several people were asking in your social media. And so it's one of those things where having Bailey here and having some of the other podcast groups that were invited to come is figuring out a better way to get the anglers involved with some of these talks. Like Kelly Jordan's going to be here tomorrow, and Canyon's dad was supposed to be here but had a conflict of interest come up at the last minute. So it's one of those things where with the people that are advocates for our community and want to see better fishing, to move the science forward, to make sure we are doing what's best for everybody that uses lakes and fishes across the country, is trying to find the best way to engage our anglers and get them to these talks, because I think if anglers were to see how much information is being done and presented around the country and what's being learned, where we have people working with cutting edge technology to try to figure out how to make a bigger, better bass, or how to create more live well products that can either help them with, here's this guideline on how you should treat a fish on a hot day, or, hey, we've seen in these situations it can be detrimental to a fish, which could cost somebody in a tournament in the long run. It's one of those things where just having some anglers here and letting them be involved, and potentially those anglers that have YouTube followings or in the communities that are seeing stuff and may not know the science, get them involved and say, what are we seeing? What are we missing as scientists that you're seeing in lakes? Because sometimes the anglers spend more time on the water than some fisheries biologists do, because we have standardized sampling that we're supposed to do as a state agency in some cases, where you may only see a lake once every 4 years and you do all your work during a 1 year period on that lake. As where if you have an angler that's out there, 20 to 30 times a year, they see the lake at different times throughout the year. They may see something that's happening way before a scientist ever knows what's going on. So being able to say, you talk about it a lot on the show, is contact your local biologist if you have a concern, and just trying to build that bridge and close the gap in that we need to get the anglers just as involved with the science as the science needs to get involved with the anglers, and create a community that helps each other going forward.
I think that's the biggest gap, and I think some states do it really well, and some states really need to improve on it. Where I think there's a decent amount of anglers that want to be involved, and I think the state agency wants the angler involvement. It's just bridging the gap of how to communicate better and easier. And like you said, just kick this whole thing off this week, how anglers are inherently selfish. They're also, for the most part, inherently lazy, where you kind of have to go to them almost, where it's unless it's very easy for them to be involved, which is just the unfortunate truth, you kind of almost have to go to them, which makes me wonder of like some of these little, not micro symposiums, but like little town halls, if you will, like go to them at the Classic, go to them at the Red Crest, things like that. Of maybe that's like your time to then hear from them. Obviously, you subject yourself to some Facebook boomers that might come out in person and yell at you, but I think that's where you might get some stuff done.
What Bailey actually wants us to do is the Serious Angler Real Biology booth at the Classic at Red Crest, where we're just interviewing biologists the whole time.
We could do it Pat McAfee style and have a mic for somebody that's walking by for all the people that are visiting and attending each event.
Could be hot.
It's kind of like y'all show. Y'all have where people can write in and ask questions. Yep, the Lake Hotline.
Well, see, Lake Hotline, we can pick and choose our questions. You show up at you live at the Classic Red Crest. Whoever's on that mic's got the hot mic. It's just, you don't know what's going to happen then.
Exactly, but isn't it fun? That's what Pat McAfee does. He has a lot of fun with it, and you never know what's going to come out.
Thanks for great social content.
Yeah, there you go. Helped you out, Bailey.
All right, well, Kenyon's always honest with me. So, Kenyon, what did we miss?
I think coming from a marketing, business, social media person, kind of like going back with what Bailey said, that since all of the talks are on top of each other, have some kind of way to save the talks. I've heard a few people talk amongst themselves about they really want to go to this talk, but they can't because they want to go to this talk. So if there was some way to be able to video it, live stream it, but then keep that and then post it somewhere, or, keep that clip and put it on the website, I think that would be tremendous.
Shoot, at the least, have the presentations live for the general public. I mean, I don't know if they're allowed to be public or not, but, have that be accessible, where somebody saw us talking about in Idaho, and they wanted to see that presentation. I mean, they did a lot of the information that was on there is very,
well, let me ask you this. As a content creator, would there be a better thing than having 158 15-minute clips ready to go at the end of a week that you could just build a YouTube channel out of?
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a lot of content created quickly.
A lot of content.
But I think also by getting all of those videos, you're going to be growing your audience. Because if you think about it, people really don't know about this unless you're a fisheries biologist, unless you're in the industry. So if you get all of this content and then you have all these different states, I mean, I really think that would grow your audience and, get it out to more people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's where we take some of our time and thoughtful planning over the next 25 years. By 2050, it's going to be live.
I'll be 53 years old.
You'll be here.
That's scary.
Yeah, you and you and you will all be here. And y'all can tell stories about me.
And where are you going to be?
Not here.
He's going to be retired.
All right. Well,
Being Belize, swimming with tarpon.
I would love that. I would love that. I'm sure I'll be right here, unfortunately. I'm sure I'll still be.
You say that, but
I'm sure I'm going to still be talking about, like, what do y'all think about delayed mortality?
Yeah.
No, who knows? Who knows where we're going to be? But maybe we'll figure it out on Thursday. We'll come up with a great roadmap. We'll figure it out on Thursday. I like the idea. I mean, we have access to all these presenters. And it may be that what we need to do is say, can you redo your talk 15 minutes at a time, and we can knock them out and build some content.
That, or I mean, even at the very least too, is if they're like, we can make a public folder of the presentation, because all of them, I think, for the most part, have their contact information
Correct.
at the end of the slides, where it's, I mean, if they're open to the public and within their states, regions, whatever, reaching out to them, like,
Yeah.
if I'm from Idaho, just to keep using this example, and I see that study and I want to get in touch with them, like, it's a pretty easy way where I'm going to select that one out of that folder, read about it, and if I want to, there's this email there to reach out about it. I think even that, I think the people that want to be in the know about this event and want to know what's happening, being talked about, or we'll take the time to go and see PowerPoint on, forward-facing sonar numbers of the Bass Pro Tour.
Yep.
Like, they'd be intrigued by that, and then you could take it the next step further of videos if you need to.
This is a great idea. Wish I would have been involved in planning for the last 25 years with me.
Who planned this, Junction?
Yes. Well, speaking of who planned this, in 2 minutes, I'm going to walk in and moderate a session on Trophy Bass 3, and we're going to continue the conversation of how do we create trophy bass fisheries across this country. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave, and that means this is probably the last of the Real Biology episode with Canyon, Tommy, and of course Bailey at Black Bass 2025.
Thank you. It's good to get you guys on the show finally. Tommy's been in the background. Now he's finally in the show.
No.
Yeah.
I take notes in the background.
That's
Help
right.
with that.
That's right. Appreciate you guys making the time.